Got the books today, guys. They just came in the mail, and I'm very excited. Check them out. Impound.
So, Impound tells the story of Anthony Endsley, a single father and struggling MMA fighter who finally lands a chance to have the fight of his career. Unfortunately, his rising success sparks some interest from the Holy Mafia and their leader, Trayce Jones. That takes a turn for the worst when Anthony's daughter gets murdered. Motivated by vengeance, Anthony seeks out Trayce Jones and attempts to bring him down and his organization. This is Impound Comics. From what I understand, this is a pretty big deal right now in Sacramento. They got comic books. I hear they're working on an animated series, which sounds fun. They've even got a live action movie that's gonna come out sometime in the future. There's just so much merch and publicity around this character, so of course I had to check it out for myself. Even though I'm not from Sacramento, I'm from Kansas City, I have those connections around the world that let me know when a new comic book character is popping up, or just popping in general. I found out about Impound Comics from the creator himself, actually, on TikTok. He was promoting the series, giving a brief rundown of the characters and the world they live in. It all sounded very interesting to me. I loved what I heard about the different characters. You got Impound, who's an MMA fighter getting turned into a superhero. Then you have another character who I was most interested in, named Seraph. I didn't get any Seraph comics, but I wanted to get those next. Seraph is an assassin who grew up on a cocaine farm with his brother, and he had his entire childhood stolen from him. The characters in these stories have some very interesting abilities and very interesting backgrounds, and like I said, it all piqued my curiosity. But what really got me sold, what really enticed me, was the artwork. Everything is so beautiful, it's sleek, kind of a little futuristic looking. It just really pops. I like the design of these characters, and I like the obvious creativity that went along into this new style of storytelling. You see, there's some aspects of this that are real and relatable, and I like how these things borrow from everything we've seen before while still managing to be its own thing. I also think it's pretty cool. I give props on the creator. This is a black-owned business with black characters, in Sacramento. He's placing it around his city, so I give him props on that too. Those are the things I like about it. After reading the story, I got 3 issues. I was most excited. I was very excited to get the first 3 issues. I was like, yeah, I'll support a black-owned business. I got the first 3 issues of Impound Comics. I love the artwork, especially on this one. Dude looks like he's looking at Vega from Street Fighter. I don't know why, but this is my favorite cover. I love the artwork, so I was most excited to get them. After reading them, though, there were a couple things that I didn't like. My biggest complaint is that these books feel incredibly lifeless. The characters have no thoughts. The scenes have no details. It's hard, for me, this is just my take, my opinion. For me, it was hard to connect with Impound, who is obviously the lead. It's hard to connect with him because I feel like I don't know him. Let me show y'all what I'm talking about.
Right here would be a perfect example of what I'm talking about. We see Impound right here. He's getting ready for a fight. I think this fight is supposed to be a pretty big deal, but I mean, I don't know because we don't really get that context. I mean, this just feels so lifeless and soulless. I mean, we don't even, the background people don't even have any faces. And see, the fight itself feels just as lifeless. There's no audience. Nobody's watching this. I mean, there's no background. It's just like a gray area. They're caged in. We don't even hear a ding. I mean, What is Impound thinking right now as he's fighting this dude? What's the other guy thinking as he's fighting Impound? I think that this should have been a good opportunity for us to learn a little bit more about the character. What is he thinking when he's in a fight? We saw earlier how he's been struggling with the bills. We saw how his hours has been cut at his job. His boss is making budget cuts. He doesn't have enough money to pay the bills. What was he thinking when he was looking at these bills? I think it would have been important to show context as he's driving through Sacramento. It's like, what does Sacramento look like? As he's driving through Sacramento, he should have been thinking about that. You know, the boss is cutting my hours back. I ain't got enough money to pay the light bill. As he's looking at these bills, we don't really know what he's thinking. We just see it says final notice. So we know he's behind, but what's his thought process right here? I think the fight could have went on a little bit longer. Maybe he's getting beat up and he's thinking to himself, gotta stay in it, gotta stay in it. Can't afford to be out on the street with my little girl. You know, my dad always said I wouldn't amount to nothing. You know, can't be a quitter, can't give up. Let's see who this guy really is. Even if we don't get any of that, we should at least get something from the announcer people. We see this fight, nobody's even announcing nothing. Like, where's the announcer? Impound just landed a smashing knee to the face to whatever the contender's name. That's gotta hurt. Oh yeah, that's gonna hurt in the morning. His jaw is busted. You know, something. At the very end, we get a little bit of that. But you know, to me, it just felt lifeless. It's so when you have pages like this that are completely silent, completely dull, completely bland, it's easy to just go to the next page. In book 3, things got a little bit better. I noticed a lot more improvement in book 3 than in book 1 and 2. Book 1 and 2 kind of felt the same with that. Book 3 had a lot more dialogue, a lot more detail in the background and stuff like that. But here's just another example of what I'm talking about. This is a page that shows so much potential, but I feel like it was a missed opportunity. Impound is sitting in jail right now. His daughter has just been murdered. What is he thinking about right now while he's sitting down in that cell all alone? You know, this would have been a perfect opportunity for us to get to know the character a little bit more. And we see some detail within the jail cell that kind of makes it feel a little bit more, you know, makes it stand out a little bit more. But it's like, what is Impound thinking? We see he gets a note, he reads the note, and he's sweating. But what is he sweating for? Is he sweating because he's nervous about what the note says? Or is he sweating because it's hot in that cell? You know, if I were writing this, I would have made him have some thought right here. It's Friday, July 10th, 5:03 p.m. You know, been in here for 72 hours. Every moment that I'm in here, Christ is out there. Every minute that I'm in here, my daughter's not getting any justice. He should be thinking about what his next move is. He should be thinking about how he's gonna get out. And as he's in deep thoughts about his life and Lily Bean, then he gets interrupted. Somebody slips a note under his door. Then he reads it, and then you could still have this scene without any dialogue because we got dialogue here. You know, he's nervous right here, but we don't need anything. We don't need anything right here because we had something right here versus an entirely quiet scene. Because it's like, does this character have no thoughts at all? People are always thinking something. If we take a look at something random real quick, it's just just something random. Already within the first page, we get a lot of context. You know, we see a space shuttle coming from Earth. Everything that's happening right now took place 5 days ago. There's a lot more story here. We just started. And the first page is one of the most important pages because, you know, it's the first page. What is the story about? It tells us right here. This is something that happened 5 days ago. We see thought process. We even know what the ship is. This is the BSAA ship. And then see, when you do have a scene with little to no dialogue at all, the pages speak for themselves. Number one, because of all the background. The background tells us that, okay, she's in a part on the spaceship that she's on in a grungy, dirty, uncomfortable part of the ship. It's dark, it's scary, and then of course you got the bio weapon monster down there. Somebody snuck it aboard the ship to eliminate these agents. And we see it's tension. This is the same tension you get while reading this that you would if you were actually playing the video game. And like I said, no thoughts, no dialogue. The page, it speaks for itself because of how it looks. There's so much background and so much detail, and you have a lot of dialogue and thoughts on the previous pages to where you don't need anything right here except for the fight. This is what separates comic books from chapter books. In chapter books, everything has to be explained because there are no pictures. So every detail has to be explained. The way the outside smells, the way the cars you hear, every single detail has to be explained. But with a picture, with a graphic book, you don't need anything to be explained. The character can be thinking about stuff, but you don't even really need his thoughts because you see where he is. You see he looks like he's in the hood, in a part of the city that you would have never even thought about. But yeah, normal cities do have ghettos and rundown areas with topless bars and, you know, XXX, an adult area. This is a story that takes place in space. This is a story about an MMA fighter that's getting turned into a superhero. Both of these sound like interesting stories, but especially the MMA fighter that's gonna get turned into a superhero. But when you look at it, it's like, where are they at? Some white room. It's just like no detail at all. It doesn't add to the story. That's the difference between these two books. It's easy to get lost in something like this to the point where when you finish the book, it's almost like you're back in reality. And that's part of the illusion. The illusion is you never left reality. You were just reading a story. With this, you don't really feel like you're in another world. It feels like I'm reading.
Now, they do have an audiobook of the series, and I heard one guy actually say that the audiobook enhances the story. But see, I feel like your book shouldn't need an audio play. The way this guy made it seem like, that the audio is, you really gotta listen to the audio, then read the book. I feel like your book should stand on its own. I feel like the book shouldn't depend on the audio drama to enhance it. And then when I listen to it, because I listened to it for myself, listening to the audiobook, the audio honestly felt as lifeless as the book. It was the same voice actor for literally almost all the characters. I just think that I think it could be more than what it is. I think that this is great. I think that it shows a lot of potential. But for me, what I look for in a comic book, a little bit of detail can go a long way. And when you have two characters standing in the street outside of a club and they're talking, but the word bubbles just say chatter, as if they're just chattering, to me, it's like, nah. It's like, you know, I'm the kind of person, I want to see the city. I've never been to Sacramento. What does it look like? The creators from Sacramento. You know, we see a little bit, like we see Sacramento General, stuff like that. But it's like, this character in this world is obviously an homage to the creator, because even Impound himself kind of looks like the creator. He lives in Sacramento just like the creator does. I'd like to see the creator show more of what he knows in his city into the book, because I've never been to Sacramento, so I don't know what it looks like. I would like to see some city lights, maybe they like to eat at a famous restaurant that's actually in Sacramento, stuff like that. Maybe, you know, anything. It just felt incredibly lifeless to me. It's like, where's the city? Where's the lights? Okay, characters are outside of a club saying chatter. What does the club look like? What is this night? This is obviously a nightclub. What does it look like? It doesn't really look like it's popping. I just see two characters outside and they're chattering. Little things like that. Those are my only gripes. I think a little bit more detail would go a long way. There are some scenes in here that are really good, like the graveyard scene, where he is talking to his daughter and stuff like that. These are really good, but I think that it's like when he's in the city, it should look like a real city, because this is obviously a very disturbed character. You know, his daughter died right in front of him. Then he gets sent to prison. Then he gets these new powers. This is a lot to take in. You would think that this would be a very complex character, but I'm only guessing because I don't know. We don't know what his thoughts are. You know, we don't know the date. You know, I think all of those things, I think, would make this 10 times better. Those are just my opinions. You know, you look at stories like Detective Comics, The Shadow, stuff like that, Daredevil, characters who are very traumatizing, and very much so they are kind of the street tier characters. They're fighting on the street, they're not fighting in space like the Avengers. I think that the street level characters are often the best because those are the ones you can often relate to. You're in their thoughts, you know them, they're emotional, they're heartfelt, they're vengeful, you know, because it's not often what they say, it's what they're thinking. It may not even always be about what they're thinking or what they're saying. It just might be where they are. They detail, the atmosphere feeds into it. But guys, like I said, my perspective, just from my thoughts, I was very happy to get these and I was very happy to read them. These are just my thoughts. Obviously, the people in Sacramento loves this because the guy who made this, he's pretty successful. Animated shows coming out, he's got a live action movie coming out, they got their own merch around it. So obviously, they're in business, they're doing something right. Guys, you can check out Impound Comics for yourself on the website impoundcomics.com. If you want a copy of the book, you have the choice of getting a physical copy like I did or a digital copy. You can also find out more about Impound and the creator himself by following his TikTok or Instagram. He seems like a really cool guy. I'll post those links below. And I mean, you should really give it a chance for yourself because who knows? Number one, you may like it. But even if you don't like it, number two, this could be a very popular character someday. Just came out. This book cost me $10. Who's to say that 30 years from now, this isn't like one of a super popular character and it's like now this book is worth $250,000. So at the very least, it may be a good investment. Who knows? Who can tell? I do want to get the Seraph story. I don't know if I would get another Impound book. I got 3. I don't know if I would get the 4th one. I'm not sure yet. I may get the 4th one just to continue on with the series. One thing I do know is I do want to get the Seraph, those 2 book story because those stories sounded a lot more interesting to me. I actually wanted to get those initially, but Impound is his flagship character. That's the one that he was promoting the most, so I thought I would hold off on Seraph and get this one first, talk about Impound first. But I do want to get the Seraph story. Impound also has a mobile video game on the App Store called Impound Vengeance. I might have to check that out as well. But guys, this was my review over Sacramento's hero, Impound. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. If you're new here, be sure to subscribe and support the channel. I love doing comic book reviews, especially over new content. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time.